Japanese millionaires have cracked a code that most people never discover. It's not about flashy cars or expensive watches. It's about quiet, deliberate habits that compound over decades. If you want to understand how wealth actually builds in the real world, stick around because we're breaking down 8 quiet money habits that Japanese millionaires swear by. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more insights on wealth building from around the world. The first habit is something called Mottainai thinking. Mottainai is a Japanese concept that roughly translates to "what a waste." It's a deep cultural value that treats resources with profound respect. Japanese millionaires don't just avoid waste because it's frugal. They avoid waste because they genuinely feel a spiritual sense of loss when something useful is thrown away. This isn't about being cheap. It's about understanding that every resource, no matter how small, has value. When you internalize Mottainai thinking, you stop buying things you don't need. You repair what's broken instead of replacing it. You use every part of what you consume. A wealthy Japanese business person will wear the same high-quality suit for years, maintaining it carefully. They'll buy one excellent pen instead of 10 cheap ones. Over a lifetime, this mindset saves enormous amounts of money, but more importantly, it changes how you relate to the world around you. The second habit is keeping meticulous financial records. Japanese millionaires treat their personal finances like a business. They track every single transaction, no matter how small. This isn't obsessive accounting, it's awareness. When you know exactly where your money goes, you make different decisions. You see patterns that would otherwise remain invisible. A millionaire in Tokyo might spend 5 minutes each evening jotting down expenses in a notebook or using a simple spreadsheet. This daily ritual creates an almost meditative awareness of their spending. Over months and years, this habit reveals inefficiencies. You notice you're paying for subscriptions you forgot about. You see that your coffee habit costs more than your insurance premium. You realize small leaks in your financial ship. The millionaires we're talking about don't just track expenses, they also track income sources, investment returns, and net worth. This isn't about restriction, it's about information, and information is power. The third habit involves something called strategic patience. Japanese culture has a long-term perspective baked into its bones. This shows up powerfully in how millionaires approach investing and business. They don't chase quick gains. They don't panic sell during market downturns. Instead, they make a plan and stick to it for decades. A Japanese investor might allocate their portfolio in their 30s and not make a single change for 30 years. This might sound boring, but it's remarkably profitable. When you remove emotion from investing and simply let time work, compounding becomes your best friend. Warren Buffett has said that time is the friend of the wonderful business, but the enemy of the mediocre one. Japanese millionaires understand this deeply. They're willing to be patient because they understand that wealth building is a multi-generational game, not a sprint. The fourth habit is what we might call deliberate skill acquisition. Japanese millionaires invest heavily in developing skills that compound in value over time. They might spend 10 years mastering a craft. They might read extensively in their field. They take courses. They learn languages. The investment in self-education is something they never cut back on, even when money is tight. Unlike material purchases that depreciate, skills appreciate. A person who learns to negotiate better saves and earns hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime. Someone who develops deep expertise in their field becomes indispensable and commands higher compensation. The millionaires we're studying understood early that the best investment is always in yourself. They know that no one can take your skills away from you, and every skill you develop opens new doors. The fifth habit is maintaining what Japanese culture calls wa, which translates to harmony or balance. In the context of finances, this means avoiding excessive consumption and status competition. Japanese millionaires don't feel compelled to display their wealth. They don't upgrade their house every 5 years. They don't buy luxury cars they don't need. This isn't deprivation, it's clarity about what actually brings happiness. Research shows that beyond a certain income threshold, more money doesn't create more happiness. Japanese millionaires seem to internalize this truth early. They find harmony in having enough, not in constantly wanting more. This creates a psychological advantage. They're not trapped on the hedonic treadmill, where every purchase temporarily satisfies you before you want something bigger and better. Instead, they reach a point of material stability and then focus their energy on other things like family, health, learning, and contributing to their community. The sixth habit is building multiple income streams. Japanese millionaires rarely rely on a single source of income. They might have their primary job, but they also have a side business. They might have rental properties. They invest in stocks. They might have a small e-commerce operation. The reason isn't greed, it's resilience. When you have multiple income streams, you're not devastated if one disappears. You also learn different skills. You develop different perspectives. You're constantly learning and adapting. This habit also accelerates wealth building mathematically. If you earn $100,000 a year and save 30% of it, you save $30,000 yearly. But if you earn $100,000 from your job and create an additional $30,000 from a side business while maintaining the same lifestyle, you're now saving $30,000 from your job plus most of that additional $30,000. Your savings rate just doubled without changing your lifestyle at all. The seventh habit is something we might call network investment. Japanese millionaires understand that their network is their net worth. They invest time in relationships. They attend gatherings. They help others without immediate expectation of return. They stay in touch with colleagues from years past. They mentor younger people. They create a web of mutual obligation and goodwill that pays enormous dividends over time. A millionaire in Japan might get introduced to a business opportunity through someone they helped 10 years ago. They might get crucial advice from someone in their network. They might find a business partner. The relationships themselves become assets. Unlike money in a bank account, relationships actually grow stronger with time if you tend to them. And in Japanese culture, where personal relationships matter deeply, this habit is particularly powerful. If you like the value we're sharing here, please hit that like button. It helps us keep making videos like this. The eighth and final habit is practicing what we might call conscious consumption. This goes beyond frugality. It's about being intentional with every purchase decision. Japanese millionaires ask themselves specific questions before buying. Will this item serve me for years? Does it align with my values? Am I buying this because I need it or because I'm trying to feel something? This practice creates a buffer between impulse and action. You slow down. You give yourself time to reconsider. So many purchases are made in a moment of weakness or emotional need. By adding this deliberate pause, millionaires eliminate most of those regrettable purchases. Over a lifetime, this single habit might preserve hundreds of thousands of dollars. More importantly, it creates psychological freedom. You stop feeling controlled by your desires. You stop experiencing buyer's remorse. You feel more in control of your life. Now here's what's interesting about all 8 of these habits. None of them require you to be naturally disciplined or to come from a wealthy family. None of them involve get-rich-quick schemes or taking reckless risks. They're simple. They're boring, honestly. But they work because they compound. A single year of Mottainai thinking might save you a few $1,000s. But 30 years of it, that's life-changing. One day of tracking finances teaches you nothing. But 1 year of it reveals your patterns. And 5 years of it completely rewires how you think about money. This is how Japanese millionaires actually get rich. Not through one big lucky break. Not through inheritance. Not through sophisticated financial engineering. They get rich by practicing simple habits consistently for decades. The habits work because they're aligned with cultural values that have been refined over centuries. Japanese culture emphasizes respect for resources, long-term thinking, self-discipline, and harmony. These aren't random rules imposed from the outside. They're expressions of how Japanese society has learned to thrive. If you want to build wealth like Japanese millionaires do, you don't need to move to Japan or become Japanese. You just need to adopt these 8 habits and practice them consistently. Start with 1. Maybe start with Mottainai thinking. For 1 week, every time you're about to throw something away, pause and ask if it could be used for something else. Notice how this simple practice shifts your awareness. Then add another habit. Add the financial tracking. Set aside 10 minutes each evening to record your spending. After a month, add the next habit. This gradual approach is actually more effective than trying to change everything at once. You're building a system, not imposing restrictions. And systems, when they're aligned with your values and practiced consistently, create extraordinary results. The beautiful thing about these habits is that they're available to you right now. You don't need to wait for the perfect job or the perfect circumstances. You don't need to inherit money or win the lottery. You can start today.